Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. thanked the Australian government for supporting the country's maritime claims in the West Philippine Sea during Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's historic visit to Manila. Jane Ceniza has the details.
Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. in Malacanang held a joint press statement after signing several bilateral agreements earlier today. In a speech delivered on Friday, September 8, President Marcos thanked the Australian government for its strong support to the Philippines' stance on its territorial claims in the West Philippine Sea and acknowledged Albanese's call to uphold efforts in protecting its territory.
Thanks to you, Mr. Prime Minister, for the strong support that you have made for the Philippines, especially during the past ASEAN conference, where you have made very clear that the claims that are being made upon Philippine maritime territory are not valid and have not been recognized and are not in conjunction or consistent with international law.
Before visiting the Philippines, Albanese and Marcos convened with their fellow Southeast Asian leaders during the Third Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN Australia Summit, held in Jakarta, Indonesia on Thursday, September 7. Albanese, for his part, emphasized that Australia and the Philippines face important security issues where both sides hold common views. The Australian official also vowed that his country's position to uphold the international law will remain consistent.
We have a collective responsibility for security, including support for the UN Convention and the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS. That's very important. Australia does support, as I said, at the East Asia Summit, the 2016 South China Sea Arbitral Award. That is final and it's binding, and it's important that be upheld going forward.
Meanwhile, both countries agreed to elevate their diplomatic relations through the signing of the Comprehensive Strategic Partnership that aims to expand bilateral cooperation in several areas, including the signing of other Memoranda of Understanding, or MOUs. President Marcos described the deal as a significant step that will not only boost relations between Australia and the Philippines, but also strengthen the country's response on issues concerning economy, peace, and security.
This signing of the Joint Declaration on Strategic Partnership signals our mutual commitment to deepening collaboration across a spectrum of areas that are vital to both our countries' growth and prosperity.
Albanese also held the constructive meetings he had with Marcos.
This elevation is an important symbol of the strength of our relationship and our shared commitment to do more together. We discussed strengthening our cooperation on regional and national security. We agreed to formalise an annual Defence Ministers meeting.
The strategic partnership deal covers cooperation in various fields concerning defense and maritime, counterterrorism and law enforcement, deeper collaboration in climate action, education, development, and people-to-people exchanges. Australia is the Philippines' second largest partner in defense and security. It is also the Philippines' 14th largest trading partner in 2022. Canberra also serves as the Southeast Asian country's 11th most significant source of total official development assistance, or ODA, amounting to $180 million as of December last year. Reporting from Sydney, this is Jane Ceniza, SMNI News, Australia.
Australia and the Philippines elevated their security and economic alliance through the signing of a strategic partnership deal as both countries seek to strengthen collaboration in various fields. Sheena Selim has the details.
Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's visit to the Philippines resulted in the signing of a strategic partnership with Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., which will pave the way for closer cooperation between the two nations. Albanese's visit marks the first time an Australian Prime Minister visited the Philippines in the past 20 years. The strategic partnership deal signed on Friday, September 8, seeks to expand bilateral cooperation in several areas ranging from defense and security, as well as climate change and education. Other initiatives announced during the meeting include the awarding of more than 50 scholarships to Filipinos as a way of encouraging them to study master's and PhD programs in Australia. Both sides also agreed on the re-establishment of a Philippines Institute at the Australian National University and a reciprocal work and holiday visa arrangement for Australians and Filipinos to help young people learn about each country's cultures through tourism. Australia also pledged to contribute $64.5 million as a part of a 5-year program to support peace-building efforts in Mindanao.
Australia is honoured to count Philippines as a close friend, and from today, a strategic partner. Our friendship is underpinned by trust and respect, as well as a shared vision for the region.
Albanese also launched the Southeast Asian Economic Strategy in Jakarta, which aims to boost trade and investments with regional partners, including the Philippines, by 2040. Reporting from New South Wales, this is Sheena Salim, SMNI News, Australia.
Earlier this week, senior officials of Japan and China exchanged words during the ASEAN Plus 3 summit following Fukushima wastewater release issue. Kent Hashimoto files this report.
Amid growing tensions, Japan and China exchanged words regarding the ban that Beijing is now implementing on all Japanese seafood imports following the release of treated radioactive water from the Fukushima nuclear power plant. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida earlier called on Beijing to take action based on scientific reasoning and called on Chinese Premier Li Qiang to abolish Beijing's import ban on Japanese seafood. In the middle of the meeting of Japan, China, and South Korea at the ASEAN Plus 3 summit in Jakarta said it will continue providing information about wastewater discharge. Chinese Premier Li Qiang called on Japan to be responsible for its step and consult its neighboring countries first. According to Li, the disposal of nuclear contaminated water is a great threat to the global marine ecological environment and human health. The summit was the first multilateral gathering attended by both Japanese and Chinese leaders since Japan began to discharge its wastewater. Kishida emphasized that Japan is sure to follow the global community understanding regarding the safe water release. Ijo Nihon kara Noshimoto Kento deshita. SMNI News, Japan.
World leaders involved in the G20 summit have already arrived in New Delhi, India, but among the top leaders notably absent was Chinese President Xi Jinping, who reportedly skipped the big event and will be represented by Premier Li Qiang. Kai Evelyn has the details.
As the G20 summit draws near, Xi visited flood-affected villagers of Shanxi City in northeast China's Heilongjiang province. Xi was seen walking into the fields of Langwangmiao village on Thursday to check how rice plants were affected by the floods. He also checked damaged houses and reconstruction of infrastructures while walking in the village streets. The Chinese president was also seen talking to the villagers to learn the losses of their supply of daily needs. He then encouraged them to bolster their confidence to overcome difficulties and resume normal work and life sooner. The province of Heilongjiang was said to be China's biggest grain producer. CCTV Plus reported that the devastation affected 17 townships, 161 villages, and 23 communities citywide. Some 28,500 households, amounting to 79,000 people, suffered damage, with almost 5,000 homes wrecked, 27,640 hectares of grain crops ruined, including 24,680 hectares that were completely destroyed. Meanwhile, the Chinese government said recovery efforts and reconstruction are in full swing. Kai Villan reporting SMNI News.
The Crown Prince of Kuwait is scheduled to visit China later this month. Melchizedek Cadiz reports.
Assalamu alaikum. His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Mishal Al-Hamad Al-Jaber Al-Sabah will visit China for the first time and will lead a high-level delegation that includes Foreign Minister, Oil Minister, and Finance Minister. The scheduled trip will take place nearly a year after Chinese President Xi Jinping met with the Crown Prince in the Saudi capital of Riyadh. At that time, Xi praised Kuwait for adhering to the One China principle and supporting Beijing's core interests. The Chinese president also vowed support in safeguarding Kuwait's national sovereignty and territorial integrity. Meanwhile, Sheikh Mishal's upcoming visit to China will include signing vital agreements between the two countries in different fields. China has become Kuwait's largest source of imports and its biggest trading partner, while Kuwait has been China's seventh largest source of crude oil imports. Barakallah fikum jami'an, kan hada Melchizedek Kadi sa Khbar SMNI, Kuwait.